Well, hey, folks. This is usually Friday Forging Friday. I don't know what I ended up calling this. And hopefully, I've done I've probably done a couple of videos by now, and I'm actually recording this one ahead of time. Um, so maybe I put out one or two videos already, did a couple of streams. But today I was thinking about doing something different and maybe going over a bit of how I set up my environment and kind of how I got it up and running. Maybe some of the tips about if you want to contribute to development of Forge. So as you probably already know, as I've hopefully already done an intro, Forge is a Magic the Gathering rules engine, a simulator. You can play single player versus an AI, or you could play over network using their network stack. Kind of losing my voice today, so hopefully I can get through this, and hopefully it's not too bad. So I thought I would start taking a look here at kind of how I have this set up. So as you can see, I have these three bat files here that I use to run the program. This is the actual directory of all the program files, and they have their own specific exes and .sh and command line files, and you're welcome to use those. If you're able to run them and it runs well, then go for it. You probably don't need any of the stuff that I'm going over here. But so the way that my setup is built, I don't actually have Java installed on its own. It's not included in the path, so I don't have a separate Java installer that I ran that installed it. And if you've already jumped into Forge, you probably know you need Java to run it. It's a Java-based application. So what I ended up doing was I actually have a separate program that also needs Java that installed a embedded version of Java under its directory. So how I built it. And if I go ahead and open one of these, try to show this to you. Yeah, hopefully you're able to see that. So these are the different. This one's the start forge.bat. And as you can see, the way that I got around not having Java in the path for this is I added this little part, this one line here that temporarily includes it in the path for the purposes of this, within the scope of this script. So all this is going to do is it's going to add in that embedded Java. We're then gonna run this, may also take a step back here for a moment. I should probably explain how I even, if maybe you haven't even gotten Forge yet or haven't done anything with Forge. In which case, I would say the easiest way to do this: go install Java, add it to the path, so you don't need to do any of this silliness, and then just run. Go and run the. If you go into here, run the executable or the command line thing. Yeah, probably this one is the one that you would want to run. It's a Forge one. But let's say you haven't. You haven't done anything yet with it, and you just watched maybe some of my videos, and you wanted to jump into Forge. which I absolutely recommend. Go ahead and go ahead and do that. But so your first step, probably what you want to do is start out with going to Chrome, going to the Forge GitHub, and you can see over here in the releases. You can head over to releases here. You can download this tar. They call it a tarball. It's a .tar that's been bzipped. So you download this, and then you extract it, and you can kind of go from there about what I'm gonna say. But if that's if you want to get this is actually only released 4 days ago, so pretty recent. But if you look at their other releases, there's a decent gap between them. This one's a couple months old. You can see, there's a few months between releases, and they're constantly making updates. If you go over to, and how I kind of track it is I go over to the pull requests here, and you go to closed. This is all the updates that they've done. They've updated one of these, some of the effects, some of the, maybe patched some issues that they've had, added new cards, lots of new cards that they add. And let's say you want to get that before they do an official release here. You can go to downloads.cardforge.org/daily snapshots. And you can see these, there's a couple of files here. You want that tar.bz2 again. Is once again, that's the program files. That's what you want to be working with. So let's say you've done that. You've gone and you've gotten your tarball. We'll go back to here. You've extracted it. So this is the tarball extracted. I'm running the 12.5 version, and you want to be able to run it now. So the issue that I was running into was every time I'd download the tarball and I'd run it, and I had these command line files, because like I said, I needed a command line file because I don't have Java directly in my path, so I had to run this anyway. I was having trouble, every time I'd change it, I need to change the folder name in this script file, two different script files, actually. I got sick of that, so I just, I wrote this little script here. Right here, it's going to go through each of the folders, and we're going to find the one marked Forge, because as you can see, I actually have a Forge and a storage. I'll go over storage in a minute. So the Forge folder is the program folder. We're going to find that folder, and I'll skip over this. We'll come back to this in a minute. We're going to go into that folder on this line, and then in this line we're going to find the jar file that starts with Forge GUI desktop, and then we're going to run the Java executable on it with the commands it needs to actually run. I think this is used to get the memory usage up to the available memory up to 4 gigabytes for it, so that certainly helps it. So what's this section here? Well, this section is it's more a recent addition than I actually did, which I noticed that the storage was being stored in a kind of an application folder in the C drive, and I'm always worried about if I ever want to do a refresh of the machine and clear out the whole thing and reinstall everything on it. that would also clear out all the saved information, and more importantly, with Forge, whenever you want to run it, the first time you run it, there's no card images. You have to run a command that downloads gigabytes and gigabytes of that stuff. So, what I did was I moved all of that storage, the user directory, the image, the card images, all of that to this storage folder. And all this command is doing is checking to see in this application folder in here, do we have the forge.properties file? And if we don't, then we create the forge.properties file and just dump this into it, setting it up so that it pulls from this storage folder all the information in it. So that was just a little improvement that I made to it to kind of localize everything to one folder and be able to, you know, have that around, not have to worry about the cards accidentally getting cleared out and have to be download gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff. So this is the startforge.bat that I use to run the desktop program. If I want to run the mobile program, this is the very similar thing, except this line here, we're looking for the Forge GUI mobile. So just a little bit something different there, but it's very similar. Now this one I specially made. If we go back to the Chrome here, you know, there's this old directory, and for a month or two, a while ago, they had. It seemed like they were going to switch over to this .jar installer, which I didn't like. I actually preferred the more portable setup of, you know, you just have everything in a directory, unzip it, run it. So just since I had everything set up for that already. But this is the installer that they had for, you know, I think they had it back in November, I guess. So I built this application here, this little bat file, the installer bat file that would once again, you know, include that Java, and then actually download this jar file, save it to the directory, and then run the jar file. So this is back when I thought that they were going to, you know, this didn't originally have the old in it. This was originally just in the snapshot folder. But they switched back. So not really very useful now. I would recommend just getting the tarball, unzipping it, and just running the executable, assuming you've installed Java in a normal way, and not in the crazy way that I did. So that's a bit about how I run Forge. I use these, like I said, I use these two, primarily these two, bat files that take care of running it. But I also wanted to go over maybe some of the development of it. So I have a virtual machine that I set up for doing some dev work. And let's see if I can let's see if I could show this. There we go. So they tell you to use, if you want to do development of Forge, they really recommend using IntelliJ, there's another IDE that they've recommended, but I primarily work with NetBeans whenever I'm doing any kind of Java stuff. I prefer it has the built-in GUI stuff. It's mobile development, web development. You can do a lot. Personally, I think you can do a lot more with NetBeans than you can with the other applications, the other IDEs. So of course the first step you wanna clone, fork, whatever the button is in GitHub. You wanna make a copy of that repository, the Forge repository, under your account. So you need a GitHub account. Once you've done that, you wanna I forget what the button is here. Let's see, because I've already imported at this point, but I think if you just have like a blank, go to here. Yeah, you can git clone. So you run the clone command on your own repository, and that'll create this Forge parent project. That's what it looks like here. Has the different modules underneath it, and you can always open project. Just want to close the project now. So primarily you're going to be working with the Forge parent, and this is a normally you're not going to want to do any of this stuff. If you just want to play Forge, like I said, install Java, download the tarball, unzip it, run it, you're done. Enjoy Forge. This is if you want to like make changes to Forge, create new cards, change the logic in some bizarre way that maybe you would enjoy that no one else would. Or maybe you do want to make changes to it and maybe contribute to it. By all means, I don't think I've ever... I used to do development, little patches to I think it was Xmage, the other Magic the Gathering rules engine. I think it was Xmage. I made a couple of changes to it. But Forge, honestly, is very well upkept. They have plenty. It's like 10 or so developers that are going in there and making changes. Anything that I would want to change with it, and there's maybe a couple of things I'd maybe want to have a lobby system for network play, and maybe better undo functionality if you're playing in single player. Those are maybe two things I want to do, but it's so complicated. I'm not gonna attempt that. That's a kind of a pain to implement. But I did want to grab this in case I wanted to do something with it, and like I said, what you do, you set up your own GitHub, clone it into your account. The main Forge, and as there are changes made to the main Forge project, you can go into your GitHub, go to that project page, click sync, and it'll pull all of those new pull requests and commits into your version of Forge, and then you can then the way that you want to, once you get this you get this project set up in here, the way that you get, once you synchronized your GitHub page, then you go into here and you go to and you want to make sure you right click on the Forge parent here, and you go to Git, you go to remote, you go to fetch from upstream. I think it's fetch. I don't think it might be pull. I think pull might be the one you want. In either case, you wanna I believe it is pull, and you run that and it'll update all the commits to your project. So once you've done that, how do you actually build the application with how do you build Forge within your NetBeans? I'll be honest here. I need to kind of mess with it a bit. I've never gotten debug to work for Forge. It always has trouble with, if I tell it to run it, it'll try to run it and then won't know where the POM is, and it gets confused. If I run one of these sub project, it has trouble with that. That has never worked for me. But the thing that has worked for me is actually building it. So if you want to build it, you just do it. You run a clean. See, I already ran it, so it had stuff in there. You run clean. You right click. You click build, and it's going to go through and load everything. I will say Xmage, certainly a lot easier to get running in NetBeans. NetBeans, the Forge is really not meant to be done in NetBeans, but you can. So while it's building, I'll actually go over. There was one change I need to make, because if you just build it as is, I was having issues with their logging system. So if I go to here and I go to show history, I did make one local commit to get it running, and that's all I did. Was you could see in here, this is the main.java of what is let's see where it is, what part of the project it is. I think it's in the desktop. I think it's under here. Forge. Well, I'll let you hunt down wherever this main method is. Forge.view. I have to hunt down the forge.view main method, and the only thing that I changed was just adding this options this options.setDNS blank, and it's something that they're using for the Sentry system to log stuff. I don't know. I just know that if you try to build this and run it with it as is, it'll give an error. At least at the time that I did this. There we go. Yeah, so it's succeeded. So once you run this, once you build it and it's done building, and you get all successes down here. If you go to, this is the actual local version of Forge, the Forge project. If you go to GUI, the Forge GUI desktop targets, this is if you go back to, for a moment, go back to this project directory here. That GUI desktop jar is this jar here. So you just copy it into here, and you just copy this one into there, and that'll run, and you'll have your modified version of Forge. Now, if you want the mobile version, the mobile desktop version, That's this Forge UI mobile dev targets. And then this one is, if we go back, this one here. So, you just, oh, my cat's gotten interested. She also likes Forge, apparently. Taken interest, in developing Forge. So if if you want to get into developing Forge, the options there, it's not terribly hard to go in there and start, making changes or whatever, and making those commits locally and having your modified version. Go for it. If you know what you're doing, go for it. If you just want to jump into it, you don't need to do all the crazy stuff that I just went over. Don't do that. Just install Java, install the newest version of Java, grab the either the release tarball tar.bz2 or one of the snapshot ones, and then go from there. So I guess I'll call it there. I hope that hopefully this was helpful to someone. I don't know who it would be. All right. Well, I'll call it there. Adios.